do it, okay? After you do it. Good morning, everyone. We are gathered here today with very heavy hearts, full of grief, as Jason has left us. We're here to honor Jason and all that he accomplished in his young but full life in terms of his accomplishments. We wish the family condolences and comfort and strength in this very difficult time that all of you are going through. To Mother and Father Barbara and her husband Richard, we recognize predeceased father Roger, brother Seth, stepsister and brother-in-law Holly and Mark, and nephews Izzy and Jake, and all of you that have come far and near to show tribute to the wonderful man that Jason was and the impact that he left upon all of our lives. Before I share some remarks and do some psalms, we're going to call on some of the family friends that are here to share some of their own personal thoughts and interactions with Jason. Is it Rob?
Yeah.
Oh, yes? Rob is going to share some thoughts, Rob Lefkowitz, followed by Brian Buckner, and then last will be Brother Seth.
Okay. It's good. Everyone can hear me. I normally have a megaphone voice to begin with, so. I wasn't prepared to really say anything. I was talking about it with Seth last night when I got into town. It's a different view for me because it was more than a friend. He was my younger brother. I've known him 40 plus years, and I'm just so shocked and upset and sad. I have comfort knowing that he's going to be here. My father's here. When we were in Miami this week, I wish that everyone here could have heard what the people there were saying about Jason and how loved and how special he was and is. And you can really tell a man by his friends, and he has some incredible friends that I had the honor to meet this week. I love and I thank everyone for being here. And I'm glad that you and I got to transport back to 1986 last night, if even for a little bit, by ourselves and do our thing. Thank you.
No, I don't need the mic. So, Jason was my brother from another mother, but this is one of my mothers. And, everything you see here before you is a direct result of Jason and my friends. Because they live in me, they are me, and he was the guy that I could call at 3 a.m. and, talk about the wife, hey, this is going on, what do I do? He's the kind of guy that would give you the shirt off of his back. He really would. And he did that for me when I was in Brazil. Literally, they lost my luggage, and I was like, dude, I need something. And then you can now understand where he started getting style and everything from. It was that trip. but like the experiences that I had with him, whether it be Brazil, Colombia, every time I go to Colombia, he comes and visits me. Um, you know, Punta Cana, Mexico, I mean, Costa Rica. We pretty much hit South America for the most part. A few other places, but I love Jay. I love all you guys that, you know, we got, however brief, a moment to be blessed with his presence. And that he's never going to be forgotten, because he's in all of us and will always be.
So yesterday I'm driving around and I have some thoughts, and I'm just putting them in my journal just so I don't forget them. And I was just gonna come up here and wing it, but I think it's better that I do it that way right now, especially because my nutshell for everybody else is more like a coconut shell. So we'll be here forever. So first I want to say that Rob and Brian are his family too, and thank you. Thank you for coming up here. It means a lot to me, and it would have to him. And Jason had the most amazing group of people that loved him in Florida, because we got down there and literally within hours we had a house and upwards of 45 people join to celebrate him. And within hours it took. People from all over Florida, people he worked with, friends, the myriad of women he dated. They were all pretty hot. So I'm just going to give you some of my thoughts after that. Alright, this was just me kind of throwing things out there. And the end is in Spanish, not only because I really enjoy the language, but he also has a lot of friends that speak Spanish as a first language, and there's a couple of people in this audience that I won't have to translate for. But I'll tell you what it means afterwards, and in the literal translation it won't make sense to you, so I'll tell you kind of in English what it means when I'm done. So as a lot of people here know, Jason and I didn't always get along, but most people who know us also knew I really put every possible effort into mending our relationship. And though my brother and I didn't always get along, often when we did, it was amazing and unbelievable. It really was. Like, you wouldn't even have known. You wouldn't have said, oh, these guys, there's no way they don't get along. And in those short periods, in those short moments, we were the best of friends. Nobody knew us like we knew each other, in a way that brothers only know. And in these times, I was the happiest. Though my brother and I didn't always get along, I loved him more than any person should be capable of loving a brother or another person. And he knew that for a fact. No matter how tough the times were, no matter how much we fought and yelled at each other, he forever knew 100% that 5 minutes later, if he needed me for anything, 100% I would be there. And he knew that he would get anything he needed from me, for whatever it was. Most people live their lives in days and weeks, and even months when they think about what's going on in their lives. And in his state of mind at the time, you live your life in minutes and seconds. Minutes and seconds, things change within minutes and seconds. And I understand how that feels, because I went through something similar and I came out the other end the best version of me I've ever been. My brother worked very hard and fought every minute and every second with courage and with the spirit of a warrior. He struggled every day that he worked as hard as it was. And every second he worked, until the very last second, every second that he worked, he won. Every second he put in there, every bit of work was a win. No, I haven't been bar mitzvahed. And I wanted to get bar mitzvahed with Jason in Israel when he did. But he wasn't having it. He was like, I'm doing this on my own, man. I don't need you. And I respect that, you know. But I spoke to our cantor. And I was supposed to get bar mitzvah last year on my 50th birthday. And unfortunately, a war changed those plans. So, the cantor that I spoke to here said it was very appropriate that in memory and in dedication to Jason, that this would be considered a new beginning of mine and his journey together. And his journey could be lit with a light that I provide if he so chooses and needs it. And the next couple of sentences is going to be in Spanish, and then I'll translate for you. And this is for his friends in Miami that speak Spanish fluently, and some of the people in this audience that also speak fluently. Ahora estaré para siempre sin mi hermanito. Aquí estás físicamente, pero él siempre estará conmigo. El corazón llama. Ya te extraño ahora mismo. Y siempre te amaré a mi hermanito. Dormir bien. Which non-literally translate from English into right now, forever I'll be without my little brother here physically. But I will always have him with me in heart and soul. Right now, I already miss you. And always, I will love you, little brother. Sleep well.
Would you like to say a few words?
I'm Richard. Many of you don't know me. And I got to know Jason about 10 years ago when Barbara and I got married. And I can't emphasize more the love that was in that room in Miami among 30 or 40 people, 45 people who showed up at a moment's notice. Brian came down from New Jersey. You came from Palm Beach Gardens. You were fairly close. But they came from all over. Jason had a quality that we all recognized. He was kind and sweet. So when they had a TV screen set up in that house, that Seth was talking about, and he was key in arranging this memorial. And it had a picture in it of Jason in the Ukraine, in an orphanage called Tikva. It was, I think, one of the largest orphanages in the world. It had 1,000 orphans. They take these children in, primarily Jewish, and they take care of them right through college, including paying for their college. Barbara is going to establish a scholarship program for those kids. And the thing I wanted to mention is that on this TV screen, they had a video. It must have had 100 pictures, Seth. I don't know how many, maybe 100 more. They had a video of Jason at the orphanage. And the video has Jason on the floor with, I don't know, 8 or 10 kids on top of him. They're messing his hair, they're tickling him. Kids have an inherent ability to recognize sweetness and kindness. And he was laughing. So we're going to establish a scholarship in his name that will hopefully send a lot of these kids to college. And they'll remember the name Jason Goldfarb. Okay? And we're all going to miss him. Those people in Miami are really going to miss him. These guys, Rob and Brian, were very, very close, especially Brian. Everybody in that room was Jason's best friend. And they all smoked. So I just thought you'd want to get that little picture of Jason on the floor in the Ukraine with these children all dead. Thank you.
We're also going to share a couple of thoughts from another close family friend who was unable to travel today. Was very impactful, John Gersberg. And these are his words verbatim that he shared. Don't shoot the messenger.
No, John was never short of speech.
In the Old Testament, Shira, which means song, is a rare event that occurs in the aha moment, when God's plan becomes clear to us. It's when the entire story of line comes together, and we can see with clarity a myriad of events that lead to this moment. In the rare opportunity to see God's intentions and the events that brought them to life. When Jason asked me to make a bar mitzvah for him, I was honored to help him with the experience. I had a whole plan. We journeyed to Israel, where we put on tefillin, which are phylacteries, on the first stop atop Masada. We then hopped on a plane to Ukraine, where the children of the Tikva, which was just reference to my orphanage, prepared celebrations for his bar mitzvah. Jason danced and ate cake with the elder children, while the youngest piled on top of him, knocking him over in a giggling jumble of arms and legs. Jason, who loved children, wore a smile from ear to ear. We then returned to Israel. You see, it was my father's yahrzeit, the annual anniversary of my father's passing, on the 12th of Shevat, the Hebrew month. To celebrate, we went to a seminary in Jerusalem where 3 of my nephews were studying. There, in a room with 200 post-high school students, we honored my father with singing and speeches. Jason thought we were there for my father's celebration of his anniversary, but we had a secret plan. First, we stunned Jason by giving him a pair of phylacteries, the tefillin, a religious article that has been given to a young man upon his bar mitzvah for thousands of years. Then suddenly, Jewish music blasted and everybody jumped up to dance and shocked Jason into the gymnasium. There, hundreds of young men celebrated Jason's bar mitzvah, raising him up on a chair and breakdancing with him. It was an unforgettable evening. On the next day, the 13th of Shevat, was Jason's official Hebrew birthday. The actual bar mitzvah was to occur the next day on the Sabbath at the Western Wall, our holiest site. We danced as Jason was called to the Torah for his aliyah, the definitive ritual for bar mitzvah. After he was called to the Torah, I was called to the Torah as well. The portion that was read during my reading was the song at the sea. This is the extemporaneous song that the Jews sang in unison after the sea was split upon leaving Egypt. They had just witnessed their former slave masters, the Egyptians, drown in the sea, and as their bodies washed up on the shore at their feet, the Jews finally realized their freedom. The reality of the end of the slavery hit them, and with the understanding that their prophesied future was upon them, they were inspired, and thus they sang the song. As we finished reading this portion, I had an epiphany of my own, and I began to sob uncontrollably. Jason grabbed me in a warm hug, in tears, and thanked me for his bar mitzvah. I looked at him and told him, "Why are you crying?" I explained that the last time I had an honor myself was at the Western Wall for my own bar mitzvah many years ago. Unfortunately, my father had died when I was 11 years old, and he wasn't able to be at my bar mitzvah. My entire life I carried a heartache that my father was unable to attend my bar mitzvah, as he had had with my elder brothers. I explained to Jason it was not he who should thank me, but I who should thank him. In allowing me to give him a bar mitzvah, Jason gave me mine. You see, I explained, the soul of the departed is the closest to this world during the anniversary of a lost one. It is known that when we do acts of kindness, we connect with the souls of our loved ones. It could not be a coincidence that Jason's bar mitzvah was the day after my father's anniversary of his death. It could not be a coincidence at that moment when I felt so incredibly connected to my father's soul. I made a bar mitzvah for Jason at the Western Wall, the place where my father was absent from my own bar mitzvah. No, like the Jews standing at the shores of the Red Sea, seeing God's hand in events leading to that moment, I too realized God's hand had brought this moment together. And so, even as I gave Jason that which he desperately needed, Jason helped me receive that which I had never imagined I would receive, my father being present at my bar mitzvah. Why do I tell you this story? It is because I want you to understand that Jason was instrumental, part of that song of my life. And he was part of God's divine plan for me. That is very much a part of God's divine plan for each and every one of you. There is a reason Jason was put in our lives. Maybe we don't know the reason today or tomorrow, but there is a reason. When Moses died, the Bible uses the phrase that he was gathered unto his people. This is understood to mean that even after Moses passed away, a part of him was gathered into everybody he met, in everybody he ever loved. Jason lives on in each and every one of us. We were blessed with every moment we had with him, and may we continue to be blessed to hold Jason in our hearts and to see his fingerprints in our lives. May his soul have an ascension. May we all merit to feel Jason with us daily. Barbara, Seth, and Richard, my deepest condolences. My heart is with you, John.
Can I just say something real quick? This person that wrote this is one of the most unbelievable human beings anybody could ever have the pleasure of meeting. And I say that with 100% honesty. There's probably maybe one or two of these type of people on this planet. So if you ever get a chance to meet John Gersberg, it's your honor. And I'm telling you, don't pass it up.
Excuse me, Rib. Can I say something to when you're thinking?
Sure. Our sages teach us that words that come from the heart penetrate from the heart. You've heard some very meaningful words from some of his friends and his brother and his stepdad and some others later, but truly very heartfelt. Before we do the before we continue with the eulogy, we're just going to do a couple psalms, which is traditional to do at the funeral, and then I'll continue with the eulogy. Psalm 23 in Hebrew first, and those of you that may know the words in English, please feel free to join. מזמור לדוד, אדוני רואי לא יחסר, בנותיך ירביצני, על מי מנוחות ינהלני, נפשי ישובד, ינחני במגלי צדק, למען שמו. גם כי אלך בגיא צל מוות, לא ירא רע, כי אתה עמדי. שבטך ומשענתך, המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צורריי, דשנת ושמר ראשי, כוסי רוויה. אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guides me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, thy comfort me. Thou prepare a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. A good person, though taken from us too soon, will rest in peace. For honor in old age does not come with length of life. Honor in old age does not come from length of years. Understanding is the gray hair of humanity. A blameless life is ripeness of age. Perfection is limited years. Is like living for many years, so a good person, though taken from us too soon, will rest in peace. Let us then, with peace of mind, let that good and rest. Taken from King Solomon. Barbara recollects that when Jason was a darling baby, he was gentle and cooed. He played quietly. She remembers him giving him a water bottle. They were so close, so much so, that Jason would attach himself to his mom's leg, and she would drag him around the house without him letting go. Jason had a great childhood. He was very active and played sports including baseball. He rode his bicycle a lot and used to skateboard. He was very social and even had a little girlfriend at a young age. Seems to be a theme as we heard earlier. Jason, along with his brother Seth, were raised in Cleveland. Jason attended elementary school in Shaker Heights. He thrived academically and socially. In middle school, some of his friends were split up into other classes, and they presented some challenges, but he acclimated. Jason loved his friends in junior and in high school. He would go skiing or snowboarding. He had a close relationship with Eddie, and then later on with his current stepfather. He attended Kent University and majored in business. Following his degree, he was hired at Marcus & Millichap, and he worked in the commercial real estate. He excelled and met many people. He was even recognized as Broker of the Year. He mentored many people and remained friends with them even after he transitioned to the next phase of his life, which was affordable housing. Jason was not satisfied selling commercial real estate and making a nice living. He wanted to be a difference maker and turned his passion towards affordable housing. This was a very rigorous process, finding tax credits through the state and federal government, being very precise with the applications and truly making a difference. He helped people realize their dreams with dignity and joy. Even after filling out the lengthy paperwork, and it was lengthy, the process was still a lottery for those who would qualify. But with all of that in mind, it didn't deter him. He's literally spent hundreds of hours and truly cared about his clients. He could have stayed with the commercial side and had guaranteed deals without going through all of these leaps and bureaucracy. This was far more important to him, and he became an expert. People were drawn to him for his genuine care, warmth, authenticity, and his magnetic personality. Men and women alike were his biggest fans. Barbara was so proud of the man he became. She loved and adored him. Jason was recognized additionally in Tallahassee for another award for his excellence in affordable housing. Jason accepted both his stepdads, Eddie and Richard, and were very close to each one of them. Seth and Jason were 2 years apart. Seth remembers when Jason was 6, approximately Seth would be 8 at the time. Jason would sneak into Seth's bed, and Seth was a security blanket for him. They were very different people, and despite their differences, Jason knew 100% of the time his older brother would be there for him. Regardless of what Seth was doing, when Jason needed anything, he dropped all of his activities to provide advice, help with healing, and support to Jason. There were never any preconditions for Seth, as he saw his younger brother as a priority above all others. There were fun vacations, including going to Italy with Mom and Seth, Cedar Point, and they would have fun singing into hot dogs as though there were microphones. Going to Cheesy Park in Canoet and spending the days and night there. When Jason and Seth were in Florida together, Seth knew some people hosting a Seder and invited his brother Jason to join him. There were many people there from different nationalities. Jason so loved the diversity of people and their contributions to the evening. While people were from all over the world, they had a common theme, which was to observe the Seder, which is mind-boggling. Jason and Seth had their silly moments too, and would often go into character imitating movie scenes and stars. There were the wonderful memories with the Sheftel and Schneider family sharing holidays together. Following his passing, as mentioned earlier, the word spread like wildfire in Miami, and within a couple hours, over 40 people organized a memorial service to say goodbye to their dear friend. This coming Tuesday will begin a period known as the 3 weeks. Starts with a fast day, and exactly 3 weeks later culminates with a fast day. This process goes up in intensity as we culminate on the 21st day from this Tuesday, which will commemorate the destruction of both temples, where the Western Wall is today, on the exact same Hebrew date, over 400 years apart. Our sages tell us that one of the primary reasons that led to the destruction of the temple was needless hatred. People's inability to get along and live harmoniously with one another. Jason would be a good poster board for how one should conduct themselves and treat others. He had the opposite attitude, needless love. Help and share with others was his motto. His Hebrew name is Shimon. The root of his Hebrew name means to hear. He was aptly named at his birth, as he would listen, internalize, and see what people's needs were, and then deliver for them. His peers and friends confided in him. They had trust in him that he would advise them with care and consideration. While Jason lived a shortened life, he was a difference maker and impacted so many, as we've heard today. Many that are on the Zoom, many that are here today, and some that aren't on either. His lessons and behavior will be eternalized to many. Our sages tell us that there are 4 crowns that a person receives. But the greatest crown that one can receive is one that you earn on your own. It's not through inheritance, it's not through a birthright. That is the crown of a good name. And that Jason had, and we should all internalize that as we stand here today. Emulating his behavior, doing selfless deeds for others, and our world will be a much better place. May his name be for a blessing, and we say Amen. No, I'm talking to him, sorry. We're going to cover it. Covering. We're going to do a covering of the grave now, the vault. And I will put the first shovel in. So I'm just going to take 1 minute to explain how to use a shovel correctly. You use it inverted. And then sweep it right to show it's not regular use of the shovel. Step of the funeral is we're going to cover the casket. This is deemed as the truest form of a kindness. When normally a person does a deed for you, you can repay them. Obviously a deceased cannot repay you. So just a little bit of information regarding the shovel. I will put the first shovel load into the grave. We'll allow the family to do next, and then anybody that would like to can participate. For first shovel pull, you should do with an inversion. Turn the shovel upside down and try to pick up the dirt to show that it's not a normal use of a shovel. And then you can take as many loads as you want from the bed, from the board, and put it onto the shovel. The last thing I ask is that we have a superstition that we don't believe to pass death from one person to the next, to put the shovel back into the pile. when you're done shoveling, and the next individual will continue the process. See what I'm doing here? Your shovel is not a problem. I don't get set enough. Be careful when you come up, it could be a little bit uneven, the ground, okay?
Put it back in.
This time, we would like to invite the friends to step forward if they wish. You can work from both sides.
Abrams, is he Jason's friend or both? Yeah. And
Easiest if you take it right off the board.
he went to
Scholarship. We all get set it up. I don't know. I'm gonna look at it.
Thank you very much.
Easiest if you take it right off the board.
Trying to make sure I'm easy to do this. The shine is not broken.
I'm saying that. I'll
his
leave
dad
it
and
in
I
the
were
pool.
good friends. Our good friend, Guy Abrams, right?
About setting this up. Scholarship fund.
He made a great jacket.
I may want to get, I'm not gonna do it
With the sunglasses. That's his wife.
It's probably gonna be a fair amount of money.
One of Jennifer's.
I know there's a big space here. I think this is
Put it back in the
I'm gonna tell you traditionally.
If you
what's
get a
what's going
chance, you know, live stream, they go over
on.
there.
Exactly. But you're not allowed to serve.
Kids,
You have to serve. Even though you
something that Jason
send a guy, take that.
excited about.
You're in your home, they have
So
to
this
serve.
would be a really
Okay,
nice
so
thing,
just light the
you know,
candle,
the Jason
sit down,
Goldfarb
eat your meal.
scholarship.
I'm gonna announce the Shiva details
You
before.
know, and the kids would,
And then I'll be back.
you know,
at
there has to be some
7:30
kind of
around
like,
3 to the service, get the credit card,
all those
and
kinds
we'll be doing this tonight and tomorrow, okay?
So I may need a lawyer at some point, not you, but some kind of guy.
Well, do you have someone you wanna do
There's gotta be
service
some
tonight?
official lawyer. Sure. If you apply, it doesn't go up right.
Heather?
Are you sure if you wanna do that? She's awesome.
And we'll see.
That was a nice thing that you said. When you went and you stood up.
Do you have any mail?
It was very, it was a good
To have a
visual.
great image of him.
I'll come.
Yeah.
I'll be there with you. So we'll be a short service. We'll get the folks, we'll jump around, the cottage together.
But it was traditionally.
Well,
It was a no, but I thought the image was helpful.
one that took over my place is female.
I wanted to give them a
job.
They don't think it's
Female.
Jason for a long time. They have a barber, obviously.
Yeah, in the Orthodox
He was
world,
really,
yes,
you all know more about him than a lot of these people. He was a gentle soul.
we hit on the button.
He was a sweet guy.
You know what?
And
You
he
know what?
didn't realize that he had so many people that he affected. This guy, John, I was talking about, Jason was his mentor when the first guy first got into the real estate business. That's how Jason knew him. And he trained him in sell commercial real estate, which is like a little universe itself. And half the people in that room were guys that he trained and remained friends, even though he went to the companies. And then it was after 8 years or something like that. And then he went on to do his own thing. Yeah. He was still friendly with all these guys. Brian, he went to, the black guy, he went to high school with. And they were close. 2 times a day practically. Brian married a woman who was of Colombian descent, and went to
I remember Jason
Yeah,
telling us
we've
about that.
heard the
Yeah.
story.
Can you tell a story about when they were in the forest and they decided to build this bonfire?
Right.
And it ignited. They were drunk. They put so much stuff on it. And the bonfire went up about 40 times.
This was in Columbia.
Yeah. And they were the jungle fire. There were a zillion stories with Jason. And then, of course, John mentioned one story in the thing about when they went to Ukraine. I didn't know that was going to come up. Otherwise, how did they? I probably would not have.
No, I thought, but
It didn't
it
show.
was better to
It's
hear it
all
from someone
inside
here.
it.
It's different when it's read.
Yeah.
You hear
Because it said a lot about who he was.
yeah, totally.
I see.
Well, you need more shovels. Some of you guys. Hey. Hi.
Getting that on the
A piece of work.
He has a little brother.
So 2 of his stepsisters are here? 2 out of 3 of his stepsisters?
But
Of his stepsisters are here?
all 3 of you.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
Monday night, I was already sleeping. And then, Tuesday, I'm sorry, but I just want you to know the food pure. Tuesday morning, immediately I woke up, only had a sip of coffee. Something next day. And I just, we were down there at
Yeah.
That's also, again, my father's.
I don't know why I didn't
Well, my head is full of
I didn't help me. I haven't been home. I came home for the 30th year of the union.
Friends, if we
So
can
that
ask
was
you
the
to
first
step
time I saw
forward,
my
please, so
father
we
in 10
conclude
years.
services. Please step
I didn't
forward.
even know Austin Powers. I know Eddie's he's close to here. Yeah.
Eddie is right up.
We remain standing for the memorial prayer.
Black stone. That's where Eddie is.
No, I gotta find my uncle. Seth knows where he is.
Ermale rachamim shochein b'meromim hametzei menucha nechona tachat kanafei hashechinam b'malot kedoshim tohorim kezohar harakiya mazirim et Shimon ben Raja shalach le'olamom V'gan Eden tehei menuchato Ana bal harachamim Hasterehu v'sedek nafecha le'olamim Utzerol v'tzerol rechaim v'nishmato Adonai hu nachalato V'yanuach b'shalom amishkabo V'nomar Amen. Exalted and compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure to the soul of Jason, who has gone to his eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your embrace. May his soul be bound in the bond of life. May he rest in peace. And let us say Amen.
Amen.
At this point, the mourners are going to do the mourner's Kaddish. We'll ask you to take out your sheets. And we'll say it together. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah ve'alma divera pirutei ve'yamlich malchutei ve'chay yechon u'v'yom echon u'v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'meru Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'lolmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei dekusha brichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiram be'olma v'meru Amen. Yahei Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya V'chayim Aleinu V'akol Yisrael V'meru Amen. Oseh Shalom B'mromav Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu V'akol Yisrael V'meru Amen. It is customary at the grave, before we wrap up the service, to ask forgiveness. So Jason, everybody that is here with you today, those that weren't able to be here, anyone that you have come across in your life, we ask that you find forgiveness for them as you enter into the God's embrace. Conversely, we know that you would never have intentionally hurt anyone, and we know everyone that is here today and elsewhere will certainly forgive you had you done anything unintentionally to them. We know that you're going to be in God's embrace with your past relatives and look down upon your beloved people and family and friends, and in their time of need, look over and be an intercessor for them, praying directly with God for always good, happy, and positive outcomes. Before we do the final row where the mourners will walk through, Seth will be hosting visitation at his house the rest of today from now until 8 p.m. His address is 5140 Longton Road in Lyndhurst. This evening we will have a service, a brief service where the family can say Kaddish again at 7:30. Tomorrow will be visitation between 2 and 4, and 6 and 8 with another service again at 7:30. We ask that we have minimum of 10 people so we can do the Kaddish for the family members again. At this point of time, I'm going to ask for 2 rows to be made on each side as the mourners can walk through and we begin the official process. We say to the mourners as they walk through the row, Hamakom yinachem etchem betoch shar avlei Tzion Yerushalayim. May God comfort and console you amongst the mourners in Israel and in Zion. May you only find comfort and strength. And we say Amen. This concludes our service. If anyone would still like to participate in filling the earth, you're more than welcome to. Otherwise, concludes our service. What they said was much more meaningful.
But I thought what you said really helped us. Helped me understand more.
Yeah.
So I spoke to his mom. I wanted to have him.
I just want to do one more.
That
whatever you'd like. This is your private time to put on shirt, whatever you want. Okay?
Probably.